All right, we are at the opportunity here with this badge to start learning about graphics, which is a really exciting branch of coding. A lot of what we've been doing has been building up to this point because graphics are just so much more fun than regular just old words, right? We can now do all sorts of interesting things by putting shapes and images on the screen, and so this is what a lot of people look forward to. In fact, eventually in graphics badge level 2, we're going to do animation and move things on the screen. So this is really fun and interesting. However, it takes a completely different way of going about our code. We have to use a different program. So instead of loading up idle, we have to find a different place to do graphics. Now, what happens is just like when we want to use random functions or math functions, we need to import the ability of Python to talk to our hardware and to be able to talk to graphics cards and make shapes and put them on the screen and stuff. So there's a lot more going on behind the scenes when you want to do graphics. And there's different options. You could Google different libraries that allow Python to do that. I found one, you can see on the screen here, it's called CodeSkulptor. That is really powerful. It lets us do a bunch of really nice things, and actually lets us make games and stuff like that. So it does animations and input and things like that for gaming, and it lets us draw pictures on the screen, which is what we'll start with. And it's really understandable for beginners. So some other ones I've tried don't really have that mix of usability. So we're going to use this one, and it just takes a little bit of getting used to and a few tricks you have to watch out for before you get comfortable with it. So I'm going to show you how to use CodeSkulptor. This is not how to complete the badge or how to do an assignment. This is just overall what you need to do, and I'll try to keep it somewhat short. First of all, you need to go to a website. CodeSkulptor is a web page, not a program. And so you could see here codesculptor.org, except don't go to codesculptor.org. So why'd I even show you that? Well, because if you Google it, that's what you're going to probably come to. You want to find the one that is Python 3 based. So CodeSkulptor 3 uses Python 3. So it's actually py3.codesculptor.org. And if you can find that website and then you can bookmark it. In fact, this is the old bookmark right here. So let's just delete that one and bookmark the new one, CodeSkulptor3. All right. I have to figure out where that went, but eventually that'll work out. So this is what you come to. So what this is, obviously, it's a website. It's not a program that you have to install. What that means is when you run things on this, it's going to run it in a web page. What gets weird about this, and I'm going to say this a few times so you understand it, when you save something in CodeSkulptor, all you save is a website address. And you have to write down that address or copy and paste it somewhere so you can get back to it. Unless you hit the download button will download an actual program for you. But otherwise, when you save it, it's going to be a URL that you need to keep track of. It's really easy to accidentally erase what you've been working on and lose it if you're not careful about how to save in this program. So we have to be really careful about that. When you first load up CodeSkulptor 3, it's going to bring up a sample program that has a few pieces on it that we are going to want to delete. But before we do that, let's just take a look at what it does. So I hit the run button, and see what it does is it brings up a little window that kind of exists inside of your browser. If I was to go outside of my browser, this wouldn't be here anymore. And in that window right now, all it does is say welcome, but I hit click me and it says good job instead. And I can make this full screen. Notice full screen within the browser. I can hide it, and I think it goes here, and I can close it. And then it goes away and I get back to my code. So that's how this works. It's all browser based. The cool thing is you could create a program in this and you could send people the website link and they'll be able to hit run and they'll be able to do their program. So let me just show you a few things. First of all, and you don't have to do this along with me, I'm just going to get rid of the sample code for 1 second so I can show you how it's doing Python. So if I just say print hello, which might be a standard thing we do in code. What's going to happen is over here it shows you the output. So here's our code, here's our output. We could have been using this program. Oh, and you can make one part longer or shorter if you want to. We could have been using this program all along, except that I don't like the way it does input. So if I was to say, obviously I'd have to do an integer if I really want it to be a number. I don't like the way that these things come up in order to do input. If it did like the input right inside of this, it may have been nicer, because it makes all these windows pop up and it doesn't always work correctly. I'm going to show this one other thing. Oh, see, now at least this is working. The old Python, well, you can't really read the hello. So imagine like you're doing something where you want to say, what is your name? But then this window comes up and like blocks it. And so then it's like, well, what's it say over here? Like I wanted to give some information and then I wanted to give the input, but the big box here blocks everything that's going on. And so it doesn't work the greatest. It's a little bit better than it used to be, but I still don't like it. So you can do regular coding in this is the point. But you can also do graphics, and here's how that works. First of all, notice that all of this is just comments that says it runs in a browser, and it runs in Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. So that works. If you want to just delete the comments, yay, I'll delete the comments. Import. We've seen imports before on things like random and math. So simple GUI, simple GUI, is the library of functions that makes graphics inside CodeSkulptor. So that's something that's important to us. This part is just the part that makes the sample work. So I'm actually going to get rid of this once I explain to you, just so you can see. Okay, so we have a message. It's just a variable that equals welcome. We have a click. So when we click something, that message, instead of saying welcome, the message becomes good job. Then we have a function that draws things, and this is what draws the message to the screen. And then we have some things down here. This one, and this stuff is what we're going to use later. This creates the screen that we see when we hit the run. That goes, see, it says the word home, and it's 300 pixels by 200 pixels. So you'll see that right here. It was called home, and this was the size of the screen that it created. The click me is the button that it has, and then it says to do some drawing, and then it says to start the program, which is actually what gets it to run. So when I hit run, it says, create a button called click, and if I say click me, if I say to click, it runs this function that changes the message to good job. This function, draw handler, is something that draws to the screen. So your screen has a refresh rate. Most of us know our screens change every 1/30th of a second. So every second there's 30 refreshes on your screen. And so that's what the draw handler is doing, which is why you have to start it, because this is happening over and over and over again, 30 times a second. And then as soon as I hit click me, it refreshes to say good job. If we had other things on the screen, you imagine that you had animation on this happening over and over and over again, then that would move things. So that's what's cool about this. And what this draw is doing is it's actually not just happening once, it's happening every time the computer says I want to refresh the screen. Then it does whatever is here in the draw function and puts that function onto the screen. So here it's just drawing text, and we're going to learn how to change that. So just to get started, what I'm going to show you is what you really want to have on your screen when you begin this working with CodeSkulptor. You don't need the click, because we're not going to do buttons very often, and so we don't need that, and we don't need this. And I just like to put all of these together, so I just get rid of some of the comments. You definitely are going to need the draw handler. Handler is just another word for function. So you need the draw function, and it says draw things on a canvas. That's what we create when we create, the area that we're going to draw on. you need to create the frame that the canvas goes in. You can give it a name, so you can call this, anything you want. And then you can give it a size. And so you can make this size really big, but if you make it bigger than your screen, it's going to get cut off or even complain. Oh, that's complaining about something else. So right now we'll just have it draw high, but we're going to get rid of that anyway. But see, it's like so large that I can't really even see all of it at once because I told it to be 1,000 by 1,000 and my screen doesn't give me 1,000 pixels down. So that doesn't really work out well. So you have to make that something that fits within what you can see. I find that 800 by 600 typically works. Because see, I can see the bottom of it, and I can't quite see the top of it, so it's like right in that area. Unfortunately, you can't really get rid of the white areas around it. It uses that for other things, but this is a black canvas area that is 800 by 600. And so we can use that to draw on. And so that's what we're going to be doing is drawing things. And then these things, like say, use the draw function and start the program. And then here, I might just say comment, put things here to draw. So if you create this, like make sure that yours is just down to this, and then maybe bookmark it. Well, actually, what you're going to do is you're going to want to hit save, and it's going to give you this URL. So if I could memorize hashtag user 303, underscore so on, then I could get to this code whenever I want to. What I want to do is I want to probably copy this code and put it in a Google Doc. I could download it, and then I have it here. This is now text, or it's actually, see, it's a Pi program, so I could open this up in idle. It's not going to do anything in idle, but now I have a file. I wonder if I have to, probably then I have to go to Chrome, save my page, and download it as this. So if you want to like keep it on your computer, you can do that. I can call it graphics test or something like that. And now it's on my computer to be used whenever I want to, because when I'm back here, I could say load, and then I could say, oh, I just saved that file. It's on my desktop. It's called graphics test, and then I could open it up and it would load it into here. That's the exact same thing that's on here right now, so you can't tell. But so either you want to save and use the URLs that are here, or you actually want to download. What's this new URL thing? Well, that's maybe I want to not erase this program because I want to use this as my base every time I create something. So I could say new URL, and it just creates a new random part of this, and then I can save this URL for a specific program. Fortunately, you can't just rename these. It just randomly creates this really long string of characters that you can't really do anything about. But you just kind of highlight it, copy it, and put it in a Google Doc and say, here's my work, and then you can get to it whenever you want. So those are some starting tips here on CodeSkulptor. And the next video, I'll show you how to actually put things into Draw, which is where it gets exciting.